Chapter 2491 Great Battle against Duo Lei. A person's aura could be concealed, but the aura of the world was hard to conceal. What was the aura of the world? For example, if one was born in the heaven realm or the primordial realm and cultivated in these two worlds for a long time, comprehending the nomological laws of the two worlds and absorbing the original chi of the two worlds, one's body would naturally carry the aura of the two worlds. This kind of aura was contained in the essence of life and was very difficult to conceal or remove. This was the essence of the world. After the old man entered the door, he was detected to have the aura of the heaven realm and was killed. Who would specifically search for living beings from the heaven realm? It was definitely the evil god tribe. It was obvious that the evil god tribe had created this gate. Anyone who wanted to enter the city would be detected to have the aura of the heaven realm. The people from the evil god world or netherworld mountain did not have the aura of the heaven realm. Let's go. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to everyone and then turned to leave silently. The group left the place and 2 days later they arrived at another large city. However, they found that there were also people checking in this big city, and there were also gates that could detect the aura of the people of the heaven realm. They left silently. In the next half a month they traveled a long distance and passed by 5 to 6 forces and 7 to 8 big cities. But it was the same. All the forces and all the cities had people checking. What's going on? Could it be that all the powerful forces have been controlled by the evil god tribe? Someone growled, his eyes red. Lu Ming and the rest also looked grave. The premonition in their hearts grew stronger. This is troublesome. Looking at the current situation, it seemed like the evil god race was controlling all of them. If this went on, the beings of the heaven realm would lose countless experts. Furthermore, there were some important cursed lands that they could not enter. They were all going to be taken over by the evil god tribe. What do we do now? Someone asked. If they went to the cursed lands, they would be ambushed by the enemy, and they could not enter some of the important cities. Now where should he go? To the Yellow Springs Empire. Lu Ming said. The Yellow Springs Empire? The other people's faces changed. The Yellow Springs Empire was the most powerful force in the Yellow Springs world. It had more than one god and many experts. Moreover, the biggest cursed land was in the Yellow Spring Empire. The ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor would probably rush to the Yellow Spring Empire. These people were not enough to go to the Yellow Spring Empire. Yes, to the Yellow Springs Empire. I have a feeling that something has happened there. Otherwise, why do the surrounding forces all listen to the evil god tribe's orders? Lu Ming frowned. All right, let's go. All right. The others all nodded. They immediately flew in the direction of the Yellow Springs Empire. They specifically flew to remote places and did not pass by those big cities. Boom. Boom. After flying for a few days, they suddenly heard a violent roar from ahead. Clang. There was a terrifying collision. They saw a long spear shoot up into the sky as if it was going to pierce through the firmament. At the same time, a huge battle axe appeared, crossing the sky and colliding with the long spear. Even though they were far away, they could still feel the terrifying pressure. The peak heavenly emperors are fighting. The faces of heavenly venerate 6 sages and the others changed drastically. Buzz. At this moment, a bull's roar reverberated through the world. The world shook and many mountains exploded. The Titanos! Lu Ming exclaimed in shock. Lu Ming would not have misheard the Titan longhorn beetle's voice. He had heard it a few times. It was obvious that the Titan longhorn and the others had encountered a powerful enemy. Let's go. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming flew forward. Heavenly venerate 6 sages and the others also flew forward. After flying for some distance, they finally saw the scene in front of them. Lu Ming saw the Titan longhorn beetle and the 9 lives devilish silkworm. There were more than 50 people from the heaven realm. However, they were surrounded by a group of people. Among them, there were experts from the evil god tribe and netherworld mountain. There were more than 100 of them, which was double the number of experts from the heaven realm. The heavenly realm was completely focused on defense. On the heaven realm's side, the Titan longhorn beetle and the 9 lives devilish silkworm weren't the strongest. They had yet to recover from their serious injuries and only had the battle prowess of a 5-star heavenly emperor and a 6-star heavenly emperor respectively. On the heaven realm's side, there was a burly man in battle armor holding a spear. His combat strength was unparalleled and he was a peak heavenly emperor. However, the other party also had a peak heavenly emperor. Dule. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The peak heavenly emperor was actually Duo Lei, the one who guarded the eternal cage in the evil god realm. He and the armored man from the heaven realm were locked in a fierce battle. However, the other people in the heaven realm were at a disadvantage. This was because the evil god tribe had a total of 9 6-star heavenly emperors. Experts of this level were completely above the heaven realm. The Titan Longhorn Beetle, the 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm and several other heaven realm experts were all defending with all their might, but they were still at a disadvantage. If this continued, defeat was only a matter of time. Charge out. The Titan Longhorn Beetle roared and transformed into its true form. Its horns were as sharp as blades as it charged forward. However, he had been severely injured in the past and was only a 5-star heavenly emperor now. He was forced to retreat by a 6-star heavenly emperor with one move. There were too many experts on the other side and they were completely unable to charge out. Titan Longhorn and 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm, you were lucky enough to survive the ancient battle. This time I'll send you on your way. Attack with all your might and kill them as soon as possible. Duo Lei said coldly. The others' attacks became even more violent. At this moment Lu Ming and the rest were rushing over. Many people could not help but look at Lu Ming and the rest. Lu Ming, it's you. After seeing Lu Ming, Duo Lei let out an angry roar. His cold killing intent seemed to be able to freeze the world. Back then he had been guarding the eternal cage, but Lu Ming had escaped with a group of people. This had caused him to be punished by the higher-ups of the evil god tribe. Not only that, but he was also laughed at by the other members of the evil god tribe. It should be known that no one had ever escaped from the eternal cage since ancient times. However, during the time when Duo Lei was guarding the place, someone had managed to escape and so many experts had escaped. All of this was Lu Ming's fault. It was all Lu Ming's fault. Duo Lei regarded this as a great humiliation and was thinking of how to settle scores with Lu Ming every day. At this moment when he saw Lu Ming, he was really envious. As for the Titan Longhorn and the 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm, their expressions changed drastically when they saw Lu Ming. Lu Ming, let's go. The Titanos roared. There were too many experts on the other side. Lu Ming's current cultivation level was still weak. If he charged forward, he would simply be courting death. It's too late to leave now. Let me send him on his way. A 6-star heavenly emperor from the evil god tribe laughed and charged at Lu Ming. Kill. Lu Ming did not retreat at all. He controlled the divine 9-dragon cauldron and blasted it at his opponent. Boom. The divine 9-dragon cauldron pressed down, and a terrifying power burst out, crushing the other party. Chapter 2492. Unknown fate of the ancestral dragon. The power of the 9 divine 9-dragon cauldrons was equivalent to that of a peak heavenly emperor. It was terrifying. The attack of the evil god race member was instantly destroyed. After being struck by the terrifying power, his body trembled violently and he retreated rapidly while spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. Everyone was shocked. A 6-star heavenly emperor was actually repelled by Lu Ming in one move and spat out a large mouthful of blood. How was this possible? Lu Ming was so powerful. Even the Titan Longhorn Beetle blinked its huge eyes, thinking that it was seeing things. Kill. Lu Ming shouted as he forced his opponent to retreat. He continued to control the divine 9-dragon cauldron to attack his opponent. Quickly come and help me. The evil god race member was shocked and retreated frantically. Buzz. Buzz. At that moment 3 more people charged at Lu Ming. The 3 of them were all 6-star heavenly emperors. In addition to the evil god tribe, there were a total of 4 6-star heavenly emperors. 2 members of the evil god tribe, 2 natives. The 4 of them unleashed their full power and attacked together, unleashing a terrifying attack. Boom. Boom. The 4 6-star heavenly emperors' attacks hit the divine 9-dragon cauldron one after another. The divine 9-dragon cauldron kept shaking, but the 4 powerhouses were also forced to retreat and almost spit blood. Peak heavenly emperor. One of them said with a grave expression. Lu Ming's combat strength was already equivalent to a peak heavenly emperor. Kill. Lu Ming continued to control the divine 9-dragon cauldron, blasting it at the other party continuously. The 9 divine cauldrons resonated with each other. The roars of dragons reverberated and the power was extremely strong. The other party had 4 6-star heavenly emperors, but they were still no match for him. They were suppressed by Lu Ming and kept retreating. At this moment, Heavenly venerates 6 sages and the others had already arrived and were attacking the other party. It was difficult to tell who was stronger. This way the pressure on the Heaven realm would be greatly reduced. Ha, good, good. The Titan Longhorn Beetle laughed as it charged forward with all its might. His strength was really amazing. Even though he was only a 5-star Heavenly Emperor, he could still fight a 6-star Heavenly Emperor for a while. Boom. Boom. After a series of collisions, the other party had to retreat with each collision. Lu Ming had the upper hand. Finally, the evil god tribe member who had been injured by Lu Ming could not take it anymore and spat out a large mouthful of blood. Come and help us. The evil god tribe member roared. There were a total of 9 6-star Heavenly Emperors. The other 2 wanted to rush over to help and attack Lu Ming together. However, the Titan Longhorn Beetle, the 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm, and the others used all their strength to hold their opponent back. As a result, the battle turned into a stalemate. Lu Ming's side even had a slight upper hand. Damn it, damn it. Duo Lei roared, his face contorted. It was Lu Ming again. Lu Ming had destroyed it. Today they could have killed the few Heaven Realm experts in one fell swoop. However, because of Lu Ming's appearance, the battle situation was now tilted. Lu Ming, die. Duo Lei's face was contorted in anger. He roared and launched an attack at Lu Ming, but it was blocked by the Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. Now that Lu Ming was controlling the Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron, he was not afraid of Duo Lei's attack at all. Duo Lei, how have you been? Oh, you don't look good. Huh. Lu Ming laughed sarcastically. At the same time he intensified his attacks, forcing the other party to retreat. The 4 6-star Heavenly Emperors could only block him for a short time, but they couldn't hold on for long. Retreat, retreat. Duo Lei bellowed and launched a frenzied attack. After exchanging a few moves with the armored burly man, he took the time to launch a few attacks at Lu Ming, blocking his Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. The 4 6-star Heavenly Emperors took the opportunity to retreat and join the other 5 6-star Heavenly Emperors. Lu Ming continued to attack. However, the other party did not linger in the battle and quickly retreated. Duo Lei had also shaken off his opponent and joined up with the rest of the evil god tribe members, retreating as they fought. The forces of Duo Lei and the rest were only slightly weaker than that of Lu Ming's group. If they were bent on retreating now, it would be difficult for Lu Ming's group to make them stay. After chasing for a while, Duo Lei and the others finally retreated. Lu Ming, I didn't expect your abilities to have reached such a level. It's all thanks to your help this time. The Titan Longhorn Beetle walked over to express its gratitude. Senior, you're too kind. I also relied on the Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. Lu Ming smiled and put away the Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. After that, everyone introduced themselves to each other. Lu Ming knew that the burly man in armor was called Zhang Li. He was a top expert who rose to power after the ancient battle. He had a peak Heavenly Emperor cultivation base and had been cultivating in the lair of Zulong all this while. Seniors, do you know what happened? On our way here, we discovered that the local major powers seem to be working together with the evil god tribe. Lu Ming asked. Something big has happened. Zhang Li sighed. The Titan Longhorn Beetle, the 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm, and the others also had grave expressions. Lu Ming and the 6 sages were both shocked. Even powerhouses like the Titan Longhorn Beetle, who had seen many great things, were like this. What exactly had happened? The reason why the surrounding forces are all listening to the evil god tribe and cooperating with them to deal with the Heaven Realm is because of the order from the Yellow Spring Empire. The Titan Longhorn Beetle said. Yellow Springs Empire, it's really the Yellow Springs Empire. Senior, what happened to the Yellow Springs Empire? Lu Ming asked. The Yellow Springs, world's biggest cursed land, is within the Yellow Springs Empire. It said that there's a life fruit inside that can cure even the most serious injuries. Can even cure the injuries of deities. However, if you want to enter the cursed land, you must get the help of the upper echelons of the Yellow Spring Empire. Therefore, Senior Ancestral Dragon and the non-human race's Saint Ancestor have come to the Yellow Spring Empire to cooperate with them. In this way there will be competition. We've received news that Senior Ancestral Dragon was defeated. The divine ancestor of the non-human race has won the trust of the upper echelons of the Yellow Spring Empire. The Titanos explained. What? Lu Ming and the rest were shocked. Zulong had lost in the competition for the Yellow Springs Empire. They finally understood why the surrounding major forces would cooperate with the evil god tribe to deal with the people from the heaven realm. That was the order of the Yellow Springs Empire. Who in the Yellow Springs world dared to disobey the order of the Yellow Springs Empire? Then Senior Ancestral Dragon someone asked in a hoarse voice. His life and death is unknown, the Titan Longhorn Beetle said. Boom, boom, boom. It was as if thunder had exploded in everyone's minds. His life and death were unknown. No one knew whether the ancestral dragon was dead or alive. This was an unbearable blow to any living being in the heaven realm. The ancestral dragon was the backbone of the heaven realm. Now, in the entire heaven realm and the primordial realm, only Zhou Long had reached the martial god realm. The evil god tribe, on the other hand, had the non-human sacred ancestor and the sacred ancestor Bloodheart, who only had a wisp of his bloodline left. Within the war god level, they had always been at a disadvantage and they constantly felt a sense of danger. If something happened to the ancestral dragon, then there would be no hope for the heaven realm and the primordial realm. They wouldn't be a match for the evil god tribe and would be doomed to be destroyed. Heavenly venerates 6 sages and the others all looked desperate. Chapter 2493 Meeting Xianxia Translator 549,690,339 degrees. How could they fight this battle without the ancestral dragon? Senior Ancestral Dragon, you've experienced the ancient war. What kind of danger have you not encountered? Moreover, you're an expert in the martial god realm. We can't compare with you. I don't think I'll be in trouble so easily, Lu Ming said. I feel the same way. We don't have to worry fearlessly. What we have to do is to improve ourselves as much as possible and kill the evil god tribe, Zhongli said. Although he said that, everyone's hearts were still weighed down by a huge stone that was difficult to let go. There was more than one god in the Yellow Springs Empire. If they worked with the non-human divine ancestor to deal with the ancestral dragon, the situation would be hard to say. After all, the ancestral dragon was still injured and not in his peak state. Lu Ming, where are you guys going? The Titan Longhorn Beetle asked. We were going to the Yellow Springs Empire to find out more about the situation. Now I've decided to go to the imperial capital of the Yellow Springs Empire, Lu Ming said. To the Netherworld imperial capital? The expressions of the Titan Longhorn Beetle and the others changed. That's right. I want to find out more about Senior Ancestral Dragon. Anyway, we can't go to the other forces or other cursed lands. We might as well go to the Netherworld imperial capital, Lu Ming said. Instead of hiding and wasting time, he might as well go to the Yellow Springs Empire and find out the situation. Only by knowing the specific situation would they be able to respond better. However, the gates of the imperial capital of the Netherworld have been tampered with by the evil god tribe. As soon as we, the living beings of the heaven realm, approach, we will be discovered. There is no way we can enter the imperial capital of the Netherworld. Zhongli sighed. Senior, I won't take risks easily. If I really can't get in, I'll stay near the Yellow Springs Empire and see if I can get anything, Lu Ming said. How about this, let's go together. The more people there are, the better we can look out for each other. The 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm rarely spoke. All right, let's go together. Zhongli, the Titan Longhorn Beetle, and the others all nodded their heads. It's good. Seniors, you can all enter my small world. It'll be more convenient for me to act alone, Lu Ming said. All right. The others nodded. With a single thought, Lu Ming's small world appeared. Everyone turned into rays of light and entered Lu Ming's small world. After that, Lu Ming changed his appearance and headed to the Netherworld imperial capital alone. The Yellow Springs Empire, the ruler of the Yellow Springs world, had a vast territory. The territory of the Yellow Springs Empire alone was comparable to the Taiching Heavenly region. Around the Yellow Springs Empire, there were other forces of various sizes. Lu Ming moved alone and his speed increased sharply. He traversed the void and was many times faster than before. In less than a day, Lu Ming had arrived near the Netherworld imperial capital. The capital of the Netherworld Kingdom was extremely majestic. It was even larger than Two World City. It was larger than any city that Lu Ming had ever seen. There were many roads leading to the capital of the Netherworld Kingdom. Tens of thousands of miles away from the Yellow Springs Empire, there were towering mountains. Lu Ming appeared on a mountain and looked into the distance. As expected, the city gates of the Netherworld imperial capital had been tampered with by the evil god race. As long as one entered, they would be able to detect the aura of the heaven realm. Lu Ming changed his direction and looked at the other city gates. It was the same. Lu Ming even saw traces of the evil god tribe at some of the city gates. How can I sneak into the Netherworld Imperial Capital? Lu Ming frowned. If they could not enter the Netherworld Imperial Capital, it would be very difficult for them to obtain useful information. Who is it? Suddenly Lu Ming turned around and shouted coldly. His gaze was as sharp as a sword. He could feel that there was a disturbance in the space behind him. Lu Ming, your spiritual senses are getting sharper. A light chuckle was heard. Then a figure flashed and a stunning woman appeared. Little Qing. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Who else could this beautiful woman be other than Xianxia? Lu Ming did not expect to meet Xianxia here. Lu Ming, you've made great progress in your cultivation. Xianxia smiled charmingly. He walked over and held Lu Ming's hand. As your man, how can I not improve? I'll be surpassed by you. Lu Ming smiled. At the same time, he also noticed that Xianxia had improved a lot. Now Xianxing's cultivation had reached the level of a 5-star heavenly emperor. When they entered Netherworld Mountain, Xianxia was a 2-star heavenly emperor. In just 20 years his cultivation had broken through 3 levels. This was extremely shocking. Xianxia was a heavenly emperor, not a great emperor. It was extremely difficult for a heavenly emperor to advance, breaking through 3 levels in a row in over 20 years. If this were to be known, it would be terrifying. Lu Ming realized that ever since Xianxia devoured her memories from her previous life, her cultivation speed had become even more terrifying. It was much faster than before she devoured them. However, even so, it could not have happened so quickly. Lu Ming knew that Xianxia must have had a fortuitous encounter in Netherworld Mountain. Moreover, Xianxing's combat power was extremely strong. Back when he was a peak emperor, he could already fight Lu Ming. Although Xianxia was a 5-star heavenly emperor now, he could definitely fight a peak emperor or even stronger. You're so smug. Do you believe that I'll beat you to the ground right now? Xianxia rolled his eyes at Lu Ming, but his face was full of smiles. Little Qing, why are you here? Lu Ming asked. Right now there are traces of the evil god tribe everywhere. The other powers are all working with the evil god tribe. I heard that something happened to the ancestral dragon here, so I came to take a look. Xianxia said. It's a pity that the evil god tribe has set up formations that can detect the aura of the heaven realm at all the city gates. We can't get in at all. Otherwise we could go in and ask for some information. Lu Ming said helplessly. The entire Yellow Springs Empire's city walls were set up with a large formation. One couldn't fly in directly. If they wanted to enter, they had to enter through the 4 city gates. That's easy. I have a way to cover up the aura of the heaven realm on my body. Xianxia said. Do you have a way to hide the aura of the heaven realm? Lu Ming was shocked and very surprised. It was easy to conceal one's aura. However, the auras of worlds like the heaven realm and the primordial realm were shapeless and incorporeal. They couldn't be sensed normally, but they were engraved into one's bones and soul. They couldn't be erased. You're a creature from the heaven realm and the primordial realm, so you're born with the marks of these 2 worlds. How could Xianxia cover it up? On second thought, Lu Ming felt at ease. Xianxia had devoured the memories of his previous life. Her background in her previous life was probably very shocking and unfathomable. It was normal for her to have all kinds of wondrous methods. Well, now you know how powerful I am. Xianxia smiled, then his 10 fingers bloomed like a lotus flower. Strange patterns appeared and finally condensed into a black lotus. The black lotus flew toward Lu Ming and fused into his body. All right, I'm done. Xianxia said as she continued to form seals. A lotus flower appeared on her body and disappeared in a flash. Chapter 2494. The Life or Death Pill. All right, let's go. Lu Ming said. Naturally, he didn't doubt the effectiveness of Xianxing's method. He had complete trust in Xianxia. The 2 of them changed their appearances, concealed their auras, and flew toward the gates of the Netherworld Imperial Capital. When they came to the city gate and looked at it up close, they realized that there were runes carved on both sides of the city gate. This was the formation set up by the evil god race. As long as a creature from the heaven realm or the primordial realm entered, those runes would immediately react. On both sides of the city gate, there was a team of armored soldiers guarding. They're all celestial emperors. Lu Ming sensed that the soldiers guarding the city gate were all powerhouses of the heavenly emperor realm. In addition, there were some experts lying in wait near the city gate. Although they were well hidden, Lu Ming had mastered the Tao of domination and ruled the heaven and earth. His senses were extremely sharp and he could easily sense them. They were all experts and there were even peak heavenly emperors. Lu Ming was secretly shocked by the strength of the Yellow Springs Empire. The Yellow Springs world was definitely stronger than either the Heaven Realm or the Evil God Realm. Even if the two joined forces, they would not be able to compare. Fortunately, the people of the Yellow Springs world had been cursed for generations, making it difficult for them to leave the Yellow Springs mountain. Otherwise, the situation outside would have changed a long time ago. The two of them swaggered into the capital of the Netherworld Empire. There were people of all races in the Netherworld Imperial capital. There were also many humans. Naturally, no one paid attention to Lu Ming and his companion. The two of them walked around but did not find any traces of the evil god tribe. They found someone to sound them out but did not get much useful information. The two of them simply found an inn to stay in. For the next 10 days, the two of them wandered around the Netherworld Imperial capital, but they did not obtain much useful information. On this day, the two of them strolled around the largest market in the imperial capital of the Netherworld. In the Yellow Springs world, there were many treasures that couldn't be found outside. The two of them also bought some. That is, the first prince. Suddenly Lu Ming's eyes lit up. In front of him he saw a young man with golden hair. This young man was the first prince, who was ranked first on the evil god tribe's longevity roll. The third eye between the first prince's brows was closed. His head was full of golden hair and he was no different from a human. He was extremely handsome like a natural sun, attracting the attention of others wherever he went. Around them, some young women kept looking at Prince De with shining eyes. However, when they saw the woman beside the first prince, their eyes dimmed. It was an extremely beautiful woman. She wore a purple one-piece dress that accentuated her perfect figure. Compared to her, the other women around her paled in comparison. Most importantly, this woman came from a huge family in the Yellow Spring Imperial capital. It was the biggest alchemist family in the Yellow Spring Empire, the Ou family. Oh Xing, the young miss of the Ou family, how could those women dare to compare? The first prince and the young miss of the Ou family, Oh Xing, were very close to each other as they shopped and bought things together. Lu Ming pulled Xianxia along and followed behind the two of them from a distance. Since he had encountered the first prince, Lu Ming would not let him go easily. The first prince had a very high status in the evil god tribe and should know many secrets. After the first prince and Oh Xing strolled around, they left the city square and walked towards a bustling street. Not long after, they entered a wide mansion. The two of them followed him in. With Lu Ming and Xianxia's current cultivation, it was impossible for the first prince and Oh Xing to notice them. There was a huge courtyard behind the mansion. In the courtyard there was a lake and in the middle of the lake there was a pavilion. The first prince and Oh Xing came to the pavilion. The first prince held Oh Xing's waist with one hand and chatted with her. Lu Ming and Xianxia appeared not far away. Lu Ming waved his hand and the space cracked open. He and Xianxia entered the crack and appeared in the sky above the pavilion. When Lu Ming was at the true emperor realm, he had already comprehended the space-time law. Now that he had transformed into the ruler's Tao, his control over space had reached the point of perfection. The first prince and Oh Xing didn't notice the two of them at all as they were in the space above the pavilion. Moreover, the conversation between the two of them was clearly transmitted to Lu Ming and the rest. Xing, I've heard that your Ou family has a life and death pill. Is that true? The first prince asked. Of course it's true. Our Ou family is the #1 alchemist family in the Yellow Spring Empire. Oh Xing laughed lightly and her tone carried a hint of pride. Is the life or death pill really as magical as the legends say? The first prince asked again. Of course. You should know that there's a tree of life on the Yellow Springs Island, the biggest cursed land in the Yellow Springs Empire. The tree of life will bear a kind of fruit called the fruit of life after a long period of time. The fruit of life possesses the miraculous power of nature. No matter how serious the injury is, it can heal it. It can even heal the injuries of gods. The life or death pill is made from the life fruit. Before the myriad tribulation, there were people from beyond the heavens like you who brought the life fruit from the Netherworld Island. My Ou family was fortunate enough to obtain one and refined it into 9 life or death pills. Although the life or death pill isn't as effective as the fruit of life, it's only useless to immortals. For those below the immortal level, no matter how serious their injuries are, even if their life essence is damaged, one pill can cure them. After so many years of consumption, my OU clan only has 3 pills left. Xing explained, and her proud expression became even stronger. Life or death pill. Lu Ming's eyes were burning with passion. The life or death pill was actually refined from the fruit of life. No matter how serious the injury was, one pill would be able to heal it. Even if the source of one's life was injured, it would be the same. Lu Ming was tempted. The injury to his life source was no ordinary injury. Ordinary injuries were nothing to great emperors and heavenly emperor-level figures. Even if their bodies were to explode, they could be healed. However, it would be very difficult to recover if one's life essence was injured. If the battle was too intense, many experts would be injured. For example, the Titan longhorn beetle, the 9 lives devilish silkworm, the ancestral dragon, and the non-human divine ancestor had all been injured. They hadn't fully recovered after so many years. However, the life or death pill could heal these injuries quickly. If he could obtain the life or death pill, wouldn't the injuries of the Titan longhorn beetle and the 9 lives devilish silkworm be able to heal quickly and return to their peak state? Lu Ming and Xianxia continued to listen. So amazing. Xing, I'm really curious. Can you let me take a look at the life or death pill? The first prince said. Let you see? I can't let this happen. If my father and the old ancestor find out, I won't be able to bear the consequences. Xing said. Xing, I'm just curious and want to take a look. Take a look and take it back. They won't know. Don't you even believe me? The first prince said gently. In the beginning, Xing didn't agree. After the first prince's coaxing and pestering, Xing finally agreed and secretly took out the life or death pill for the first prince to see. Lu Ming and Xianxia looked at each other and their eyes lit up. Chapter 2496. Life or death pill in hand. Is it very difficult to enter this place? Lu Ming smiled faintly and said, We're just passing by. We didn't expect to see such a good show. Life or death pill. Not bad. It's a waste to leave it in your hands. Leave it to me. You want the life or death pill? Dream on. Run. The first prince shouted angrily, turned around and ran. However, the next moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. It was Lu Ming. Boom. Lu Ming suddenly released a terrifying aura that pressed down on the first prince. The first prince's body shook violently and he spat out a large mouthful of blood. His face was pale. Your cultivation. The first prince was in disbelief. He was completely vulnerable in front of Lu Ming. Back then, when he had fought Lu Ming at the foot of the evil god tribe's sacred mountain, the two of them had been about the same. His cultivation had been at the peak great emperor realm. After all these years of cultivation, his cultivation had already reached the heavenly emperor realm, and he was now a 2-star heavenly emperor. To break through from peak great emperor to 2-star heavenly emperor in just a few decades was already extremely shocking. However, he was worlds apart from Lu Ming. Lu Ming's aura alone was enough to force him back and make him spit blood. Attack, attack together. The first prince shouted at the other 6 members of the evil god race. However, the 6 members of the evil god race could not move at all. Don't waste your energy. Xianxia said. His body was covered in black light like a demoness. She stretched out her hand, and a black lotus flower suddenly appeared on the bodies of the 6 evil god race members, enveloping them within it. In just a few breaths' time, the black lotus flower dissipated, and the 6 evil god race beings within it also disappeared without a trace. Only 6 storage bracelets were left floating in the air. The first prince's pupils contracted rapidly, and a look of fear appeared on his face. To be able to kill 6 members of the evil god race with just a raise of his hand. What kind of combat strength was that? One should know that there were 2 4-star heavenly emperor experts inside. To be able to do this, one must at least be a peak heavenly emperor, right? At the thought of this, the first prince became even more frightened. Lu Ming, I advise you to let me go obediently. Now the ancestral dragon has been defeated, and my race's holy ancestor has cooperated with the martial god of the Yellow Spring Empire. Your heaven realm is destined to be defeated. There's no turning back. If you let me go now, I can still put in a few good words for you and spare your life. The first prince said. Spare my life. Hehe, I can't trust you, and you even killed the woman who trusted you. Chapter 2498. Intense battle. At this moment, the situation outside was quite critical. Qing Tsong and the others rushed out of the volcanoes and arrived at the outskirts of the cursed land. However, at this moment the people of the Yellow Spring Empire appeared in front of Qing Tsong and the others. Their terrifying aura made Qing Tsong and the others change their expressions and stop. Another 4 peak heavenly emperors. A total of 7 peak heavenly emperors. You really think highly of us? Qing Tsong sneered as his 9 heads looked around. Beside Qing Tsong, there was a phoenix flapping its wings, and its body was covered in black flames. It was a black phoenix, a peak heavenly emperor, the king of the phoenix race in the heaven realm. Ah, Qing Tsong, I'll see how you die today. Ha! A loud laugh came from behind. The experts of the evil god tribe had blocked Qing Tsong and the others' escape route, making it impossible for them to escape. Duolei, why aren't you guarding the eternal cage? Be careful not to let anyone escape. Qing Tsong sneered, his voice filled with mockery. The one from the evil god tribe who had just spoken was Duolei. Upon hearing Qing Gang's words, Duolei's eyes turned extremely ferocious as he roared. So what if you've escaped from the eternal cage, Qing Tsong? I'll still die in my hands. And that Lu Ming kid, I'll tear him into pieces sooner or later. Charge back to the cursed lands. Qing Tsong secretly sent a message to the beings in the heavenly realm. They would only have a chance if they rushed back to the cursed land. Outside, they would have to face the double siege of the evil god tribe and the Yellow Springs Empire. They would be in grave danger. It's too late. In the small world, Lu Ming was a little anxious. He then sent a voice transmission to the Titan Longhorn and the 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm. Senior, quickly wake up. Senior, quickly wake up. Lu Ming kept transmitting his voice. Boom. Boom. The auras of the Titan Bull and the 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm suddenly skyrocketed. Then they rapidly contracted before opening their eyes. Is the war about to start? The Titan Longhorn Beetle asked. That's right. It's an urgent matter, so I can only disturb the 2 of you. Lu Ming said. It's fine. I've almost recovered. Let's go out and fight. The Titan Longhorn Beetle said. Let's go. Lu Ming controlled the small world. The next moment, everyone in the small world appeared outside. At this moment, Qing Tsong and the others also made their move. They immediately charged toward the evil god tribe behind them, wanting to rush back to the cursed land. Kill. The experts from the evil god tribe and the Yellow Spring Empire also made their moves. Kill. At this moment, Lu Ming roared and his voice reverberated in all directions. Everyone, please return. The middle-aged man continued to speak, but his voice was cold. It was obvious that he wanted to drive the guest away. You didn't even hear why we're here. What's the meaning of this? The Titan Longhorn Beetle grumbled unhappily, and a powerful aura erupted from its body. Boom. Boom. Just as the Titan Longhorn Beetle's aura erupted, the 4 people in front of it also released powerful auras. 3 6-star heavenly emperors and 1 peak heavenly emperor. The expressions of Lu Ming and the group changed slightly. The cultivation of the 4 people in front of him was already extremely shocking. Not only that, but there were also many shocking auras coming from the mountain peak. They were like terrifying air waves that pressed down on this side. Lu Ming could sense that there were no less than 10 peak heavenly emperor auras. There were even a few auras that were extremely shocking, even above peak heavenly emperor. Whoa, there are so many experts here, and there are even invincible figures who are half a step into the martial god realm. The Titan Longhorn Beetle grinned, its eyes filled with shock. This Yellow Springs sect was indeed terrifying. The Titan Longhorn Beetle had only released its aura, but it was like poking a hornet's nest, causing a bunch of experts to appear. Perhaps this was only a portion of them. Who knew how many more experts there were in the dark? Everyone, please calm down. We have no ill intentions. We are only here to seek cooperation. The ancestral dragon stepped forward and said. Then he looked at the peak of the mountain and said, Fellow Taoists, I have a matter to discuss with you. The ancestral dragon's voice came from far away, and at the same time he gave off a strange aura. Fellow Taoist, why have you come to the Netherworld sect? At this time an old voice came from the peak of the mountain. Then a light flashed and a figure appeared in front of everyone. It was an old man with white hair and a sage-like air. "We pay our respects to the sect leader, elder." The people from the Yellow Spring sect saluted the old man respectfully. Lu Ming and the rest felt a chill in their hearts. They knew that the old man was a battle god. The two sect masters of the Yellow Spring sect were both at the martial god realm. "Fellow Taoist, we're here to seek your cooperation," Zhou said. "Cooperation? Though you, height under Earl Olderwack arc, TI 771 or 1. Chapter 2501 Tokens use Lu Ming and the rest did not interrupt the conversation between the white-haired elder and the ancestral dragon. The Titan longhorn beetle also kept its mouth shut. This was a martial god. Only the ancestral dragon, who was also a martial god, had the right to speak to such a person. Otherwise, if it wasn't for the ancestral dragon, he probably wouldn't even want to see them. That's right. Well, work together. You can help us enter the Netherworld Island and well split the treasures we get on the island 50-50. It's beneficial to everyone. How about it? Zhou said. Yellow Springs Island? The white-haired old man was stunned for a moment. Then he sighed and said, "It seems that you all came from beyond the heavens. Time passes so quickly. The tribulations have passed so quickly." The white-haired old man's voice was filled with complicated emotions. The white-haired old man seemed to think of something and after a long while he said, "You can go now. My Yellow Spring sect has no interest in Yellow Spring Island." Not interested? Zhulong's eyes narrowed. Lu Ming and the rest were shocked. Was he going to fail? "Fellow Taoist, how about this? As long as you do us a favor, all the treasures we get on the Yellow Springs Island will belong to you. How about it?" Zhulong was unwilling to give up and continued. "I said I'm not interested. See the guest out." The white-haired old man waved his sleeve and turned to leave. "Everyone please." The middle-aged man from before waved his hand. Lu Ming and the group looked a little pale. He didn't expect that the people of the Yellow Spring sect didn't care about the treasures on the island at all. If they couldn't get help from the Netherworld sect, how could they fight against the Netherworld Empire and the Divine Ancestor? The Titan longhorn beetle and the others were anxious, but they couldn't think of anything. "Hey, let's go." Zhulong was also helpless. He turned around and walked down the mountain. Soon they arrived at the foot of the mountain. "If you don't want to help, then don't help. At most, we'll go and save them ourselves. It's just death." The Titan longhorn beetle cursed, feeling extremely unhappy. However, Lu Ming stopped and continued to study the stone tablet in front of the Yellow Spring sect. The more he looked at it, the more he felt that the stone tablet looked familiar. That's right, that token. Suddenly Lu Ming thought of the token. With a thought, a token appeared in his hand. This token was the one that he and Dandan had obtained in the core area of the Void God Island. The appearance of this token was very similar to the stone tablet in front of the Yellow Spring sect's mountain gate. Previously, the stone tablet was covered in moss. Lu Ming felt that it looked familiar. Chapter 2502 War gods gather in a golden palace in the capital of the Yellow Springs Empire. The non-human divine ancestor, the emperor of the Yellow Springs Empire, and a grand elder were also discussing something. "Your Majesty, is there no way to enter the Yellow Springs Island?" The non-human divine ancestor said. "There are 4 puppets at the entrance of the Netherworld Island. We can't do it alone. We have to cooperate with the Netherworld sect. However, the 2 old fogies of the Netherworld sect are stubborn and have a grudge against us. Even if we go to them, I'm afraid they won't agree." The Emperor of the Yellow Springs Empire said. "No matter what, I have to give it a try. How about this? After I deal with Zhulong and the others, I'll go to the Netherworld sect and see if I can invite those 2 to come out." The non-human divine ancestor said. After chatting for a while, the non-human divine ancestor left. Lu Ming and the rest set off and met up with the people from the Heaven Realm. Then they headed for the Netherworld Imperial Capital. In the Netherworld Imperial Capital, outside the Eastern City Gate, nearly 200 people including Long Qin and Feng Ling, were tied up outside the city gate. It had been more than a month. It's been more than a month and no one has come to save you. It seems that you people from the Heaven Realm have given up on you. Ah. Duo Lei stood above Long Chen's group and sneered coldly. Long Chen and the others looked cold and did not respond. "I'm telling you, there's no hope for the Heaven Realm. You've been completely defeated. This time in the Yellow Springs world, my clan will kill all your experts. When we get out, we'll flatten the Heaven Realm and kill all of you," said Duo Lei resentfully. Duolei, do you only know how to talk now? At this moment, a mocking voice sounded. Who is it? Duolei suddenly turned around, his cold eyes sweeping across the room. Me. The voice rang out. Then the void rippled and a figure appeared. That person was Lu Ming. However, he was the only one who appeared. Lu Ming. Upon seeing Lu Ming, Duolei's eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. Buzz. Whoosh. The void trembled and cracked open. From the spatial crack, figures stepped out one after another. They were all experts from the Evil God tribe and the Yellow Spring Empire. There were no less than 10 peak heavenly emperors. Their terrifying auras completely enveloped Lu Ming. When they saw Lu Ming, Long Qin and Feng Ling, their faces changed. Lu Ming, let's go. Leave quickly. Phoenix Spirit and Dragon Qin shouted. Leave? To where? Lu Ming, you dare to come alone. You're really stupid. Stay then. Duolei sneered. Oh really? Look who this is. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He reached out and grabbed at the air. Chapter 2503 Attacking Yellow Springs Island Translator 549690339 martial gods appeared outside the east gate of the capital. The 6 martial gods confronted each other and emitted terrifying fluctuations. Their auras filled the sky and earth, shrouding the entire imperial capital of Netherworld. All the living beings in the capital felt as if there was a huge rock pressing down on their hearts. It was so unbearable that they wanted to vomit blood. The auras of the 6 martial gods were too terrifying. If they were to fight, it would probably be earth-shattering. The atmosphere at the scene was extremely heavy. How about this? At this moment, the Emperor of the Yellow Springs Empire, Long Yen, looked at the white-haired elder and said, Elder Huang, if you agree to join hands with us to break through the puppets outside the Yellow Springs Island and help them enter the island, we can let these people go. Long Yen still wanted to let the Divine Ancestor and the others enter Netherworld Island, as they had already agreed on a 50-50 split of the treasures they obtained on the island. They couldn't enter the Yellow Springs Island themselves. If they missed this opportunity, they would have to wait for another 10,000 tribulations. The non-human Divine Ancestor's eyes flashed, but he didn't say anything. He also wanted to enter the Yellow Springs Island. Lu Ming, what do you think? The white-haired elder looked at Lu Ming. The non-human Divine Ancestor, Long Yen, and the others were all very surprised. The white-haired elder, a martial god, actually wanted to ask for Lu Ming's opinion. What was their relationship with Lu Ming? Agree to their request. However, we must also enter the Yellow Springs Island together. Lu Ming said. This was the only way to save Long Qin and the others. Alright, let's join forces. However, they have to enter the Yellow Springs Island together. The white-haired elder pointed at the ancestral dragon, Lu Ming, and the rest. Alright, then it's settled. The non-human Divine Ancestor, Long Yen, and the others pondered for a moment before nodding in agreement. Although they did not want Lu Ming and the rest to enter, they would not be able to enter without the help of the white-haired elder and the rest. Now they could only enter the Netherworld Island first. After entering, they would rely on their own abilities. As long as I get the fruit of life, killing heart, and I will recover from our injuries. At that time, let's see how you guys die. The non-human Divine Ancestor thought to himself. Release them. Long Yen ordered. Immediately, someone broke the seal for Long Qin, Feng Ling, and the others, and everyone regained their freedom. Lu Ming, you have saved me again. Long Qin sighed as he came to Lu Ming's side. Lu Ming. If they try to fly over it by force, they will fall into the abyss. If we want to pass through this abyss, we can only pass through the bridge ahead. Long Yen said. The group flew along the abyss and saw a stone bridge. The stone bridge was very large and wide, and it led to the other side of the abyss. However, as they neared, there was a constant flash of light near the stone bridge, and a figure appeared. A puppet. However, these puppets were all in human form. They wore blood-red battle armor and their eyes were filled with blood-red light. Is this a puppet of Array Dao? Lu Ming muttered. Previously, he had already learned from the white-haired elder and the others that the puppets formed on this stone bridge were Formation Dao puppets that were formed by a large formation. Even if they were killed or defeated, they would reform after a period of time. Trespassers will be killed. A huge puppet shouted, its aura shaking the heavens and earth. The Martial God Realm. This puppet was at the Martial God Realm and was extremely terrifying. There were 3 other puppets that weren't any weaker than this puppet. There were a total of 4 martial god realm puppets. Apart from these 4, there were more than 100 puppets. They were all extremely terrifying and were all at the Heavenly Emperor realm and above. Everyone's expression turned grave. According to the plan, the 4 of us will each hold off 1 battle god realm puppet. The 2 of you will not be at your peak state. You will assist one of us to kill 1 puppet with all your strength and then help the others. Long Yen looked at the non-human divine ancestor and the ancestral dragon. The 2 martial gods of the Yellow Springs Empire and the 2 martial gods of the Yellow Springs sect could each hold off 1 martial god puppet. The forefather and the ancestral dragon worked together to help one of them defeat a martial god puppet. All right. Elder Huang nodded. Those at the void transformation stage and above follow me and kill. Those at the void transformation stage and above attack. Long Yen and Old Huang spoke one after the other. Then they stepped forward and charged toward the puppets. Trespassers will be killed without mercy. A martial god puppet held a long spear and charged toward Long Yen. Boom. Boom. A deafening boom suddenly erupted in the area. The battle of the martial gods had begun. Chapter 2504 Pass. Intense battle erupts. The 4 martial gods of the Netherworld Empire and the Netherworld sect fought against the 4 martial god puppets respectively. Their attacks were very simple. There were no complicated gaudy moves. Every punch and every palm strike was very direct, but the power was terrifyingly strong. Each punch and palm had the power to destroy the world. A peak emperor would be blown up with each move. The 4 martial god puppets wore blood-red armor and each of them held a spear. They were like invincible generals, their spears piercing through the air with unparalleled killing intent. The 8 people on both sides were locked in a fierce battle. The ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor looked at each other, their eyes gleaming. In the past it was impossible for them to join forces. But now they could only join forces. The 2 of them moved and pounced toward the puppet that was fighting Long Yen. The 3 of them joined forces and attacked the puppet with their own abilities. The ancestral dragon, the non-human divine ancestor, was injured and not at his peak, but the 2 of them together were still equivalent to a martial god. The 3 of them joined forces and immediately suppressed the other party. No one dared to go near the war god's battlefield. The battle between Lu Ming and the rest of the puppets had also broken out. However, it was far away from the battlefield of the martial gods. These puppets also had astonishing combat strength. There were many experts, peak Heavenly Emperor, and even half a step into the martial god realm. However, the number was a little low, only around 2. The number of Lu Ming and the rest was even greater. They were from the Heaven Realm, the Evil God Tribe, the Yellow Spring Sect, and the Yellow Spring Empire. The 4 sides added together had far more puppets. Boom. Boom. Lu Ming controlled the 9 Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron and joined forces with Xianxia to fight a puppet at the peak of the Heavenly Emperor realm. This kind of puppet was formed by a large array, but its entire body seemed to be made of an extremely hard metal. It was indestructible and every move it made was powerful. It collided with the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron, causing it to shake continuously. Xianxing's body was surrounded by black light, which condensed into lotus swords. They were extremely sharp and attacked from the side, leaving sword marks on the puppet's body. Although the puppet was strong, the 2 of them working together could still suppress it. For example, Qing Tsong and the Titan Longhorn Beetle had almost all joined forces. They had the upper hand. Of course, this was only possible because they had joined forces. Otherwise, no 1 or 2 of them would be a match for these puppets. Chapter 2506 Danger on Yellow Spring Sea. Degree. Looking around, all he could see was white fog, and his vision was at least 2 meters. 2 meters away, everything was in a daze. Nothing could be seen. At the same time, the world was completely silent. Not a single sound could be heard. Lu Ming focused his attention and paid attention to his surroundings. He did not dare to be careless. No one knew what kind of danger they would face next. Lu Ming waited for a moment but realized that there was no movement at all. Other than the thick fog and the emptiness, there was nothing unusual. After a moment, Lu Ming decided to take action. He could not just wait here. Based on his senses, Lu Ming identified the direction of the abyss and walked in the opposite direction. Lu Ming's speed was not fast. He maintained a constant speed as he advanced. In front of him was a hilly area. Lu Ming had been walking for more than 10 days. He had no idea how far he had covered. During this period of time, there were no abnormalities, nothing attacked him, and he did not encounter any danger. Oh. At this moment, the sound of water flowing came from the front. Lu Ming was in high spirits. For more than 10 days, they had to move forward in a silent fog with a vision of less than 2 meters. This feeling was very uncomfortable. If it were an ordinary person, they would have gone crazy. However, cultivators were determined. A dozen days was nothing, but it was not a good time either. Lu Ming was overjoyed to hear the voice. Lu Ming strode forward. A moment later, there was light in front of him. Lu Ming's vision suddenly widened. There was no fog in front of him. What he saw was an ocean, a boundless ocean. Lu Ming was now on a beach. This seawater. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed when he saw the seawater. This was because the seawater here was yellow. It was clearly the water of the yellow spring. So much yellow spring water. Could it be that all the yellow spring water is flowing here? Lu Ming was extremely surprised. Standing on the beach and looking out, one could see the islands in the ocean. Some of the islands were very close to Lu Ming and they looked like small black dots. Then Lu Ming saw a small boat on the beach. The small boat looked like it was made of wood, but it was completely fine as it floated on the yellow springs water. This cursed land is called Netherworld Island. Could it be a small island in this ocean and I have to take this small boat to get to it? Lu Ming pondered. The next moment, the arch weapon appeared in Lu Ming's hand and he threw it out. Whoosh! Lu Ming's strength was so great that the emperor weapon flew out like a bolt of lightning. Chapter 2508 Powerful Pressure. Lu Ming was no match for the lava giant at all. Even if he gave it his all, he was only equivalent to a 6-star heavenly emperor. There was a huge difference between him and a peak heavenly emperor. Lu Ming was severely injured and had no strength to fight back. Am I going to die here today? Lu Ming had a thought in his mind. He was unwilling, extremely unwilling. At the same time, he was worried about Xianxia, Lu Xianxia, and the others. He had encountered such a difficult and dangerous situation. What about Xianxia and the others? He was unwilling to give up and wanted to resist. He desperately urged the divine 9-dragon cauldron. However, there was a force between heaven and earth that was too strong and completely suppressed the divine 9-dragon cauldron. Bang! The magma giant landed beside Lu Ming and looked down at him. You are too weak. The magma giant opened his mouth. The magma on his body flowed and his expression could not be seen at all. If you want to kill me, then kill me. If you want to humiliate me, don't even think about it. Lu Ming said coldly. Don't worry. I won't kill you now. The magma giant seemed to smile and continued, I won't kill you now, but that doesn't mean I won't kill you in the future. I'll give you a chance now. I'll give you 50 years. You can only stay on this island for the next 50 years. You have to find a way to defeat me. If you can't defeat me after 50 years, it'll kill you and destroy your soul. Do you understand? After saying that, the magma giant turned around and left. Not long after, he disappeared from this place. Giving me 50 years, is this a test? Lu Ming pondered. Then Lu Ming sat cross-legged and circulated the indestructible ancient scroll with all his might to begin healing. Although his injuries were severe, they did not harm his core. Under the effect of the indestructible ancient scroll, he recovered quickly. Not long after, Lu Ming was fully recovered. If I want to defeat the magma giant within 50 years, my combat strength must be at least stronger than an ordinary peak heavenly emperor. After his injuries were healed, Lu Ming had to think about this problem. 50 years might seem long, but to ordinary people it would pass in the blink of an eye. It would be difficult to surpass an ordinary peak heavenly emperor in 50 years. Given Lu Ming's current situation, there were only 2 ways for his combat strength to surpass that of an ordinary peak heavenly emperor. The first was a physical breakthrough. Lu Ming had now cultivated the 7 gods' mysterious technique to the middle of the 6th stage. His physical strength was equivalent to a 4-star heavenly emperor, or he might be able to suppress an ordinary 4-star heavenly emperor. Chapter 2510 Tempering the body. Lu Ming was so angry that he vomited blood. In particular, the magma giant's annoying look made Lu Ming so angry that he gritted his teeth. However, Lu Ming had no choice but to reconsider the problem of cultivation. No, it's impossible to reach the peak of Great Emperor in 50 years without any outside help. I might as well cultivate my physical body. There are flames everywhere and the temperature is shockingly high. If I keep burning my body, it'll be better for me to temper myself. I might as well cultivate my physical body and have a glimmer of hope. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and decided to cultivate his physical body. It was not just because of the environment. There was another reason. There was only one bottleneck in the cultivation of the physical body. Once this bottleneck was broken through, Lu Ming's physical strength could reach the peak of the Heavenly Emperor realm. However, Lu Ming was only a 5-star Great Emperor. He would have to face 2 bottlenecks before he could reach the peak Great Emperor realm. It was easier to break through one bottleneck than 2. Having made up his mind, Lu Ming put aside the path of domination and began to cultivate his physical body. Lu Ming removed the defense on the surface of his body and activated the 7 gods' mysterious technique. Instantly, the temperature outside reached tens of thousands of degrees Celsius and enveloped Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body emitted a sizzling sound. Buzz. Lu Ming's muscles trembled. When his muscles trembled, the high temperature outside seeped into the depths of Lu Ming's body, helping him to temper his body. After cultivating for a while, Lu Ming took out an emperor's medicine and refined its energy to aid his cultivation. A few days later, Lu Ming stopped cultivating. It's effective. The speed of cultivation here is several times faster than other places, but I can't break through in 50 years. Lu Ming furrowed his brows in deep thought. In this place, with the help of the high temperature, it was indeed faster to cultivate the physical body than outside. However, it was not so fast that it was exaggerated. Lu Ming estimated that it would be difficult to cultivate to the later stage of the 6th stage within 50 years. Let's go to that lava lake. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he thought of the lava lake. There was a lava lake on the island, and the temperature was at least dozens of times higher than outside. Lu Ming wanted to cultivate with the help of the lava lake. This was a cruel and extreme method. However, Lu Ming had no other choice now. Let's go. At the thought of this, Lu Ming dashed towards the lava lake. When he arrived at the lava lake, waves of terrifying heat surged toward Lu Ming. The temperature was 10 times higher than other places. He was only standing on the side, but the temperature here was already extremely terrifying. Lu Ming had no choice but to channel his energy to resist. Let's get used to the surroundings first. Lu Ming was not in a hurry to dive into the lava lake. The temperature down there was too high. It was far from what ordinary lava could compare to. It was too terrifying. If Lu Ming were to jump down directly, he would probably be melted by the strength of his body. At once, Lu Ming stood by the lava lake, put down his defense and began to cultivate. As soon as he removed his defense, a terrifyingly high temperature enveloped Lu Ming's entire body, as if his body was about to burn. Green smoke rose from Lu Ming's body and he felt a tearing pain all over his body. However, Lu Ming did not even frown. This bit of pain was nothing to him. Indeed, Lu Ming felt that cultivating here would be more effective. Lu Ming revealed a look of joy. Then he calmed his breath and focused on cultivating. Time flew by and 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming had already fully adapted to the high temperature of the lava lake. In the past 3 years, the lava giant did not come to look for Lu Ming. Buzz. Suddenly, Lu Ming opened his eyes and leaped into the lava. 3 years of adaptation was enough. Now he wanted to use the magma to temper his body. It had been more than 4 years since he came to this island. Time passed quickly and 50 years would pass in the blink of an eye. He had to seize the time. After jumping into the lava, Lu Ming sank into it and the terrifying lava enveloped him. It hurt. It was extremely painful. Lu Ming discovered that his skin was beginning to melt. Following that, his muscles were also beginning to melt. Block kit. Lu Ming growled. He circulated the indestructible ancient scroll to recover rapidly while at the same time, he circulated the 7 gods' mysterious technique to use the high temperature to temper his body. In the end, it was still blocked by Lu Ming. Although he was not in pain all the time, the effect of cultivating here was indeed much greater. This was an extremely extreme cultivation method. Ordinary people would not be able to withstand it. This was because the physical body was constantly in the process of melting and healing back and forth. How many people could withstand such pain? Just like that, Lu Ming focused on cultivation. Time flew by and in the blink of an eye, more than 20 years had passed. Lu Ming had been on this island for almost 30 years. However, Lu Ming's physical body still had not broken through. He was still at the middle of the 6th stage. Not enough. Continue going down. Lu Ming started to sink. The deeper he went, the higher the temperature of the lava lake would be. After descending a few hundred meters, the temperature here was several times higher than above. Lu Ming continued to cultivate. Chapter 2511 Suppressing a Peak Heavenly Emperor. However, at this stage the 7 gods' mysterious technique could no longer be cultivated. Although there was still a 7th level to the 7 gods' mysterious technique, there were only 4 words for it. 10,000 yuan returned to 1. This was the complete content of the 7th stage of the 7 gods' mysterious technique. Lu Ming was confused. Boom. Boom. At this moment, a series of rumbling sounds came from the distance. The magma giant had appeared again. Brat, you've been hiding for so long and you finally dare to show yourself. Come and take my punch. Before the magma even reached him, he had already thrown out a punch. A huge fist condensed from lava came crashing toward Lu Ming with shocking power. If this had happened when Lu Ming had just arrived on the island, he would not have been able to withstand the punch and would have been injured. But now. Boom. Lu Ming's muscles trembled and he threw a punch across the air. Lu Ming did not use the power of the way of domination in this punch. He only used his physical strength. With a punch, the void was directly pierced through, revealing a pitch-black void. Endless void storms condensed into fist force and blasted toward the magma fist. Boom. Their attacks collided with each other and the entire island shook. Then they disappeared in pairs. "Ha, kid, it seems like you've broken through. Come play with me." The magma giant laughed and rushed toward Lu Ming in big strides. "Today I'm going to give you a good beating." An ominous glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. His muscles and bones trembled. His body passed through space and appeared in front of the magma giant. He punched out with both fists. The magma giant was also filled with a strong will to fight. It moved its body and threw magma fists at Lu Ming. The two of them engaged in an intense battle, and it was difficult to determine the winner in a short time. "Ah, not bad, kid. You can fight with me now. However, you're still not strong enough to defeat me." The magma giant grinned. "Then add a little more. I was just stretching my muscles and bones just now." Lu Ming sneered. He had indeed been stretching his muscles and bones just now. His physical body had just made a breakthrough and his power had skyrocketed. He needed to get used to it, so he didn't use the power of the path of domination just now. He just relied on his physical strength. Now he had more or less adapted. Boom. The aura on Lu Ming's body grew stronger. His entire body was shrouded in a layer of purple gold light. With the addition of the Dominator's Tao, Lu Ming's combat strength had undoubtedly increased by a notch. Although the increase was not particularly significant compared to his physical strength, it was enough to suppress the magma giant. Boom. Boom. Lu Ming started to attack again. The purple gold fist radiance broke through the air and destroyed the magma giant's attack in an instant, forcing it to retreat. After more than 10 moves, Lu Ming seized the opportunity and punched the magma giant's chest. The magma giant's chest exploded, leaving a large hole that was transparent from the front and back. However, the lava giant seemed to be made of lava, and it recovered in the blink of an eye. "Not bad, kid. You win." The magma giant shouted. "We're not done yet. Continue." Lu Ming shouted and continued to attack. Lu Ming had been beaten up by the lava giant a few times previously and he was really angry. He would not be able to calm down if he did not return the favor. "Nest kid, I've already let you win and you're still fighting, ah." The lava giant cried out and was punched in the face by Lu Ming. Half of his face had exploded, but he recovered in an instant. However, Lu Ming kicked the lava giant's stomach again, sending it flying. Lu Ming took a step forward and chased after it, continuing to attack. You're shameless. You're still attacking? Stop it." The lava giant kept screaming. However, its vitality was too tenacious. It was hit by Lu Ming's continuous attacks as if nothing had happened. Could not be killed at all. However, he still felt pain after being hit, so he kept screaming. Lu Ming only stopped after he was hit dozens of times. At this time, the magma giant looked at Lu Ming with a resentful gaze. It was like a young girl in her prime had been humiliated by a thug. Petty and vengeful. The magma giant muttered. "What did you just say?" Lu Ming widened his eyes. "Nothing much. You've passed. Go to the next island." The magma giant turned around and ran, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming revealed a smile. His current strength was finally at the peak of the heaven realm, the evil god realm. Without the divine nine-dragon cauldron, he could suppress a peak heavenly emperor with his own strength. In the current heaven realm and evil god realm, other than the unrivaled powerhouses who were half a step into the martial god realm, there were still true martial gods. He no longer had any opponents. However, in the entire heaven realm and the evil god realm, how many demigods and martial gods were there? He had finally reached the realm and the existence that he had once looked up to through his hard work. What's on the next island? Lu Ming took a step forward and came to the other end of the island. Indeed, he found a floating bridge that led to the next island. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He stepped onto the floating bridge and headed to the next island. Soon Lu Ming arrived at the next island. This island was completely different from the previous one. Chapter 2511 Mysterious Battle. Word. A voice suddenly came from behind Lu Ming, startling him. There was someone behind him, but he didn't notice it at all. With his current cultivation and powerful spiritual sense, he did not even notice that someone was standing behind him. Lu Ming's back was covered in a layer of cold sweat. He quickly turned around and saw a middle-aged man with a pair of transparent wings on his back. He was standing not far away, looking at Lu Ming with a smile. Lu Ming's eyes were solemn. "You're the guardian of this island?" "No, I can't be considered a guardian." The man with the transparent wings shook his head and said, "Strictly speaking, those are the guardians." His finger was pointing at the statue and the word battle. "That's the true guardian?" Lu Ming had a puzzled look. "Not bad. I know you've comprehended the Tao of Sovereign. This trial is very simple. If you can fully comprehend the will of Sovereign from the statue within 100 years as well as the word battle, you'll pass." The man with the transparent wings said. "What if I don't fully comprehend it within 100 years? Lu Ming asked. "If you don't fully comprehend it, it'll come and kill you." The transparent winged man smiled and said casually. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. He did not doubt the other party's words at all. This man with transparent wings gave Lu Ming an unfathomable feeling. Lu Ming felt that he was definitely not his match. This person was at least a half-god or even a martial god. "Seize the time and properly comprehend it. I'll go with you," the man said. He then turned and took a step, disappearing. Lu Ming could not tell how the other party had disappeared. Taking a deep breath, Lu Ming walked toward the cliff. 100 years. Lu Ming did not believe that he could not fully comprehend the nominator's intent on the statue and the word battle. Lu Ming sat down cross-legged not far from the statue and began to comprehend the will of domination on the statue. The nominator's will on this statue was much stronger and more profound than the ones on the statues that Lu Ming had encountered before. Moreover, it was many times denser and deeper. It was naturally much more difficult to comprehend. However, Lu Ming was still extremely excited. He could sense that as he studied the statue, he gained a new understanding of the sovereign Tao, and was able to use it more and more smoothly. He himself was only using the sovereign path in a barbaric manner, unable to display any of the wondrous aspects of the sovereign path. However, he could still comprehend some applications of the way of domination from this statue. Naturally, Lu Ming was eager to comprehend and absorb it. Cultivation knew no time. 5 years had passed in a flash. Lu Ming's comprehension of the Tao of domination was progressing at a rapid pace. He could already feel that he was about to break through. However, Lu Ming was not in a hurry to break through. Instead, he continued to comprehend for 2 years. Then he took out a large number of divine stones and began to absorb them to break through to the next realm. Not long after, Lu Ming successfully broke through and his cultivation reached 6 stars Great Emperor in one go. With this statue my cultivation has improved too quickly. I don't need 100 years to comprehend this. Lu Ming was in a good mood and was full of confidence after the breakthrough. After consolidating his cultivation, Lu Ming continued to study. Next, it was more difficult to break through. This time Lu Ming spent more than 20 years before he successfully comprehended it. When Lu Ming had fully comprehended the sovereign's will on the statue, cracks appeared on the statue. Just like the statues Lu Ming had encountered before, they shattered. I've comprehended all of them. With my current understanding of the Tao of a ruler, I'm completely capable of breaking through. I'll break through. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He continued to take out divine stones and refine them crazily. This time it took a few months for Lu Ming to break through and reach the peak of 7-star Great Emperor realm. The world energy and purple gold energy in his body became more and more intense. With a thought, his body was covered with the purple gold ruler's Tao. Lu Ming felt that he was filled with infinite energy. A casual blow from him could break the stone and shock the sky. He had reached the peak Great Emperor realm in the Tao of domination. Lu Ming could suppress ordinary peak heavenly emperors with his Tao of domination alone. In addition to his strength, which was equivalent to a peak heavenly emperor, Lu Ming's current combat strength was extremely terrifying. I wonder if I'm confident in fighting against a demigod. Lu Ming pondered. He wasn't sure since he hadn't fought with them, but he knew that a demigod was much stronger than a peak heavenly emperor. He had not fought before, so he was not confident. In less than 30 years I've already comprehended this statue. Next I'll focus on the word battle one. Lu Ming pondered. After consolidating his cultivation he looked at the word battle. Waves of wonderful concepts emerged in Lu Ming's heart and he began to comprehend them in detail. However, a few months later Lu Ming ended his cultivation. He was a little bewildered. After a few months of comprehension, he felt that the battle word was unfathomable and mysterious beyond imagination. In the beginning he seemed to have benefited a lot, but as he continued to comprehend he became more and more confused. The word battle wasn't a martial technique, battle technique, or divine ability. It seemed to be an extremely profound intent realm. It was as if the word battle was the source of all battle. Whether it was battle techniques, martial arts, divine arts, or anything else, they were all included in the word battle one. All-encompassing, the true Paul was all-encompassing. Lu Ming had a feeling that as long as he understood the word combat, he would be able to use any combat techniques and divine abilities with ease. He would be able to use any weapon with ease. Amazing, this is amazing. Lu Ming was not shocked. Instead he was overjoyed. He had a feeling that this was a great opportunity. As long as he seized it he would benefit endlessly. Lu Ming started to comprehend again. Lu Ming had still underestimated the difficulty of comprehending the word battle. In the first 10 to 20 years, Lu Ming seemed to have been wandering in confusion and it was difficult for him to gain anything. The difficulty of comprehending the word war was much more difficult than the way of the ruler. 20 years later Lu Ming was finally at the beginner level. He had gained quite a lot and was on the right track. At this time he had been on this island for 50 years. He had been in the Yellow Springs world for more than 100 years. Lu Ming was completely immersed in cultivation. He was like a sponge, desperately absorbing the water outside. Very soon Lu Ming had been on this island for 80 years. There were only 20 years left before the 100-year period. Lu Ming was still in the midst of his comprehension and had not finished. In the center of the Yellow Spring Sea was a huge island. It was the largest island in this sea area. There were mountains and countless peaks above, and there were huge palaces built on many of them. This was the Yellow Springs Island. Chapter 2512 Fruit of Life. The Netherworld Island was the core of this place. At this moment, on the shore of the Yellow Springs Island, two floating bridges emerged almost at the same time, extending from a small island in the distance to this place. Two figures were running wildly on the floating bridge towards the Yellow Springs Island. One of them was the ancestral dragon, and the other was the non-human divine ancestor. The two of them landed on the Yellow Springs Island almost at the same time and were the first to land. When the two of them landed on the Yellow Springs Island, they found each other and sparks flew in their eyes. Ancestral dragon, you're pretty fast. The non-human divine ancestor sneered. You're not slow either. Zhou said. Cold killing intent emanated from the two of them. But in the end they both had their own concerns and did not make a move. At this moment the two of them discovered at the same time that not far from them, there was a towering tree. This tree was extremely huge. It was at least a few hundred meters in diameter and was so tall that it reached the clouds. The entire tree, not only the trunk but also the leaves, were suffused with multicolored light. However, the most eye-catching thing was the fruit on the tree. There were 18 fruits in total, each the size of a fist. However, they immediately attracted the attention of the ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor. Life fruit, it's the life fruit. The non-human divine ancestor murmured, his eyes burning with fire. He had finally found the fruit of life. Didn't he enter the Yellow Springs world for the life fruit? With the fruits of life his injuries could be healed. If he had enough fruits of life, sacred ancestor Bloodheart's injuries could also be healed. At that time he would be able to easily flatten the heaven realm. At the same time the ancestral dragon's eyes shone with a burning light. Buzz. Buzz. Almost at the same time the two of them moved and pounced towards the life fruit. The two of them reached out their hands at the same time and grabbed at the life fruit. But at this moment the entire tree of life glowed. Then two roots reached out from the ground and whipped at the ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor. Bang. Bang. The power of the roots was unbelievably strong. The hands of the ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor were crushed, and they were forced back. The two of them had grave expressions on their faces. The next moment the two of them moved again. They burst out with all their strength and revealed their strength to the extreme as they pounced toward the fruit tree of life. Oh. This time the ground churned and more than a dozen roots appeared all of a sudden, lashing at the two of them like a storm. Bang. Bang. The two of them continuously collided with the roots and their bodies shook violently. They were sent flying far away and they spat out blood at the same time. The two of them were actually injured. They were two martial gods and yet they were injured by the roots of the fruit of life. If the people of the heaven realm and the evil god realm saw this they would be shocked. The two of them had a gloomy look in their eyes. The ancestral dragon didn't feel anything, but the non-human divine ancestor's face was especially ugly. His desire for the life fruit was too strong, far stronger than the ancestral dragon's. Damn it! The non-human divine ancestor roared in anger. He had gone through so much to come here but he couldn't get the life fruit? At this moment the space above the fruit of life started to ripple. Then a figure appeared out of thin air. It was a middle-aged man in a white robe. He looked very refined. He must have been a refined young master when he was young. The non-human divine ancestor and the ancestral dragon looked at this man with caution. That was because they could not see through this person's cultivation realm. This time only the two of you are war gods. The elegant middle-aged man glanced at the ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor and asked in a soft voice. He seemed a little confused. Right now, the only martial gods in the outside world are the two of us. The non-human divine ancestor said. There are only two war gods left. Strange. What's happening outside? Where is this place? The middle-aged man mumbled to himself and then looked at the ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor. You want the fruit of life, right? The fruit of life only ripens once in countless years. It's not time for it to ripen yet. Not mature yet? The ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor were both dazed. That's right, it hasn't ripened yet, so if you want to pick it, the fruit tree of life will automatically attack. However, once it ripened, as long as you don't damage the fruit tree of life, it won't fight back. The elegant middle-aged man explained. How long will it take for the fruit of life to ripen? The non-human divine ancestor asked. This time the life fruit is about to ripen. As for how long I can't say. I'll take a few years if it's fast or a few hundred years if it's slow. You just have to wait for a while. The elegant middle-aged man smiled. Then he looked into the distance and said in a low voice, Can that little guy pass the test or not? I hope so. After all these years, someone has finally mastered the Tao of a sovereign. At least there's a bit of hope. With that he turned around and disappeared. The ancestral dragon and the non-human sacred ancestor exchanged a glance, killing intent in their eyes. At most, a few hundred years was nothing to them. They just had to wait. When the life fruit ripened, the two of them would definitely have an intense battle to fight for it. The ancestral dragon in particular really wanted to kill the non-human divine ancestor. This was because the heaven realm would be in grave danger if the divine ancestor of the non-human race were to obtain more fruits of life. But in the end they were still not confident. The two of them did not make a move rashly. They sat at the side and waited. Time flew by quickly. After several years, a third person finally arrived at the Yellow Springs Island. It was the heavenly realm's venerable Sky Thunder Emperor. A few months later, another unrivaled expert from the evil god tribe arrived. Then more and more people came to Yellow Springs Island. 10 years later, hundreds of people from each side came to Yellow Springs Island. The test they passed was different for each of them. It didn't mean that those with low cultivation couldn't pass the test. Therefore, there were people with high and low cultivation on both sides. They had been warned by the ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor to stay away from the fruit of life. If anyone below the martial god level was struck by the roots of the fruit of life, they would really die. Everyone waited in silence. Suddenly, a burst of rich fragrance came from the fruit of life. This fragrance made people feel comfortable all over as all the pores on their bodies opened up. Some people's hidden injuries were quickly recovering. The life fruit had ripened. Everyone was shocked. Buzz. Buzz. The ancestral dragon and the non-human sacred ancestor were the fastest to react. They rushed toward the fruit of life. This time when they approached the fruit tree of life, the fruit tree of life didn't attack. The life fruit had ripened. Ancestral dragon, die. The non-human divine ancestor suddenly roared, turned around and charged toward the ancestral dragon. You're the one who's going to die. The ancestral dragon had the same thought as he charged at the non-human divine ancestor. The two martial god powerhouses were engaged in a fierce battle. Chapter 25:14. Only 7. The two martial god experts engaged in an intense battle. No one was allowed to approach the fruit of life. The people below the martial god also seized the opportunity and rushed toward the fruit tree of life. Both sides had more than 2 people each. How could 18 life fruits be enough to split? Naturally, an intense battle began. There were more than 100 chaotic battles and the strength of both sides was similar. The battle was difficult to determine and soon someone fell. The Heavenly Thunder Emperor was fighting a demigod from the evil god tribe. Qing Tsong the Titan Bull and the others all had their own opponents. The area around the fruit of life was boiling and the energy was chaotic. Bang! Bang! The ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor had fought for hundreds of rounds in the sky. Both sides wanted to obtain the life fruit, but they didn't want the other to obtain it. Naturally, they had to go all out. Don't linger in the battle. Snatch the fruit. The non-human divine ancestor sent a message to his subordinates. All of the evil god tribe members attacked the heaven realm beings with all their might. They then seized the opportunity to rush toward the life fruit. Not good, snatch the life fruit. The heaven realm's living beings also roared as they all pounced towards the life fruit. For a time, each of the 18 fruits of life was targeted by 10 people. Everyone surrounded the life fruit and started another round of chaotic battle. However, there were still fruits of life that were taken away. The first fruit of life had been taken by the demigod of the evil god tribe, but soon after the Heavenly Thunder Emperor had also obtained one. Both sides exchanged blows and in the blink of an eye, a few fruits of life were taken away. Buzz. All of a sudden, an ordinary-looking member of the evil god race emitted a shocking blood-red light. Then a drop of blood flew out and turned into a human figure. Its appearance could not be seen clearly, and the blood on its body squirmed as it emitted a shocking killing intent. Kill. The blood-red figure rushed out and a blood-red light was like a sword, killing a few heaven realm creatures. Those few heaven emperor creatures were directly killed. Saint Ancestor Blood Heart. The ancestral dragon roared. Although my killing heart is far from recovered, I still have the power of a demigod. Let's see how you can block it. The non-human divine ancestor roared. The sacred ancestor Bloodheart had the power of a demigod and was almost immortal. He was too powerful. In the heaven realm, no one was his match except for the Heavenly Thunder Emperor. Wherever he went, all the creatures in the heaven realm were either killed or injured. Sacred ancestor Bloodheart took several life fruits in a row. I'll give you the appropriate compensation. Ancestral dragon nodded and didn't stand on ceremony. He took the life fruit and swallowed it to refine it. A few days later, the ancestral dragon's aura stabilized. As expected of the life fruit. Zhu Long sighed. The effect of the fruit of life was truly shocking. The energy of the fruit of life was still far from being refined, but he had stabilized it because of the consumption from burning his life source. In the future, as long as he continued to refine the life fruit, the injuries he had suffered in the past would slowly recover. How many life fruits did we get this time? Zulong asked. Senior ancestral dragon, I'll take one. I also have one. Immediately, those heaven realm beings who had obtained the life fruit walked out one after another. There were a total of 6, and with the one that the ancestral dragon had swallowed, there were 7 in total. The ancestral dragon and the beings of the heaven realm all had ugly expressions. In that case, the evil god tribe had obtained a total of 11. 11 pills are enough for Moke and Murderer Xin to recover. The ancestral dragon muttered with a gloomy face. Although sacred ancestor Bloodheart's injuries were severe and only a wisp of her bloodline was left, She would definitely recover with so many life fruits. This would be a great disaster for the heaven realm. Senior Ancestral Dragon, I'm willing to give this life fruit to you. Me too. Those who got the fruits of life all gave them to the Ancestral Dragon. They still knew the severity of the situation. But I'll take them all. I'll heal my injuries first. If there's any more, I'll give it to the other injured experts to help them recover. Also, if you need anything, just tell me, Zhou said. At this time he did not hold back. Moreover, the battle in the ancient past had been extremely tragic. Not only was the Ancestral Dragon injured, but there were also other experts. For example, the Peak Heavenly Emperor, the Titan Bull, and the 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm. However, their injuries had already recovered. In the heaven realm, just like them, there were many who had been injured in the ancient times. There were even demigods. Chapter 2514. Above the martial god realm, this netherworld island is full of mountains and palaces. It might contain some opportunities. Let's form a team and explore it. Then the Ancestral Dragon looked at the mountains and got the heaven realm beings to form small teams and enter the mountains to explore and see if they could find any opportunities. As for Lu Ming, he was still on the island, comprehending the word battle 1. He had been on this island for 90 years. After so many years of comprehension, he had benefited a lot. The word battle was too exquisite. As Lu Ming comprehended it, his combat experience deepened greatly. Although he did not have any combat skills or divine abilities, Lu Ming's fighting spirit soared to the sky whenever he made a move. Every move he made was filled with powerful combat power. His previous battle skills and sacred arts were much more powerful now. The word combat was too intriguing. In other words, in the future, no matter what combat skills or divine abilities Lu Ming cultivated, the power would be enhanced. No matter what weapon he used, he would be able to display the strongest power. This was battle. As long as it was related to battle, it would be improved. Although Lu Ming's cultivation level had not improved in the decades that he had comprehended the battle character, his combat strength had increased by a notch. Now he was even more confident. In the past, he didn't have much confidence when facing an unrivaled demigod. Now he was confident that he could fight. Buzz. Whoosh. Boom. Boom. At the bottom of the cliff, Lu Ming's body flashed and he flew around, casting all kinds of divine powers. Under the enhancement of the battle character, the power of these divine powers was increased by a notch. This cultivation lasted for 9 days and 9 nights. Lu Ming only stopped after 9 days and 9 nights. Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief, his eyes bright. Satisfying, this is really satisfying. Lu Ming laughed heartily. At this moment, a crack appeared on the word battle. Then more and more cracks appeared. Finally, with a bang, it exploded. It was exactly the same as the statue from before. Lu Ming had completely understood the word battle. When the battle word cracked, the void flickered and the man with transparent wings reappeared. Not bad. To be able to fully comprehend this battle formula within 100 years, you have good talent. Yes. The transparent winged man nodded, and a hint of excitement flashed through the depths of his eyes. Senior, can I enter the next stage now? Lu Ming said. Next round? That's all, this is the last stage. The man with the transparent wings smiled. The last stage? Then I can go to the Yellow Springs Island. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Chapter 2516. Shocking Feather Inheritance. A painting by Ye merely exuded a trace of his aura, but Lu Ming felt a chill all over his body. With his current cultivation, facing Bai Ye was like an ant facing an elephant. He had no way of resisting. Terrifying, extremely terrifying. This was Lu Ming's feeling. He had a feeling that if White Teeth wanted to attack him, he could kill him with a snap of his fingers. This was something that neither the Ancestral Dragon nor the non-human race's divine ancestor felt. Lu Ming was even more shocked. An existence like White Tooth had actually been sealed here, unable to leave for generations. Also, the owner of the White Teeth, Jingyu, was definitely even more powerful. Yet he was killed by someone. How powerful must their enemy be? Also, there were many cursed lands in Netherworld Mountain. Were they also the means of their enemies? Many thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. However, there's always a way out. There's always a chance of survival in the dark. Every 10,000 years, the seal of Netherworld Mountain will loosen, and you people from the outside world can come in. We've been looking for a suitable candidate to inherit Master's legacy. Unfortunately, there are only a few people who come in from the outside every time, and those with great talent are extremely rare. We've been waiting for a long time and you've finally come. White Tooth said. Senior, if you want me to inherit Senior Jingye's legacy, there should be some requirements, right? Lu Ming said. Baiya looked at Lu Ming with admiration. You're very smart. Not bad, you do have a request. I can tell you that Master was framed and wronged by others back then. He died with injustice and his bloodline is forever sealed here. Therefore, if you want to inherit Master's inheritance, you must swear on your life source that you will avenge Master in the future, clear his injustice and save us. Indeed, Lu Ming knew that it was not simple. Senior, given your cultivation level or Senior Jingyu's, how can I do it if I'm not his match? Lu Ming smiled bitterly. You may not be able to do it now, but it doesn't mean you won't be able to do it in the future. There's no time limit for this matter. With your talent, you might be able to surpass Master in the future. Although this is difficult, there is still some hope. I can tell you that what you've obtained and comprehended before is only one part of Master's inheritance. If you can obtain Master's inheritance, you'll be able to avoid many detours in the future. Baiya started to tempt Lu Ming. Lu Ming's mind was racing. The owner of the White Fangs, Jingyu, was obviously a terrifying existence. His cultivation had exceeded Lu Ming's imagination. There would definitely be great danger in avenging such a person. However, Lu Ming immediately thought of the evil god tribe. If the non-human race's divine ancestor and the blood-heart divine ancestor were to recover, he probably wouldn't even be able to get past the evil god tribe. Everyone in the heaven realm would have to die, including his family and friends. As for agreeing to Baiya's request to avenge Jingyu, that was something that would happen many years later. Even if he failed, he would be the only one to die. Furthermore, if he could obtain the inheritance of an existence on Jingye's level, he might have a way to fight against the evil god race. At the thought of this, Lu Ming had already made a decision. All right, Senior, I agree. Lu Ming said. All right, you're right. Baiya was overjoyed and said, however, you still have to swear on your life source. Swearing on life source was completely different from a blood oath. A martial supreme could already resist a blood oath. However, if one were to make an oath on one's life force origin and use it directly on one's life force origin, even a martial god would find it difficult to resist it, let alone a martial supreme. If one were to break the oath, they would be subject to terrible punishment. At once, Lu Ming followed Baiya's request and swore the life origin oath. Senior, I still don't know who Senior Jingyu's enemy is. Lu Ming said. They didn't even know who their enemy was, so how could they take revenge? Do you know about the Great Void Holy Dynasty? Baiya asked after a moment of silence. Great Void Holy Dynasty? I've never heard of it. Lu Ming shook his head. Haven't you heard? It's normal that you haven't heard of it. Those fellows must have sealed us in a very remote place. You should have heard of the Boundless Galaxy, right? White Tooth said. The Boundless Galaxy? Lu Ming was even more dumbfounded. I've never heard of the Boundless Galaxy either, but what about the Primal Universe? You should have heard of it, right? White Tooth said. Lu Ming shook his head vigorously. You haven't even heard of the Primal Universe? Baiya was dumbfounded. He looked at Lu Ming tongue-tied. Lu Ming could not help but touch his nose. He had really not heard of it. Could it be that not hearing of it was a very embarrassing thing? Where did those guys seal us? We haven't even heard of the primeval universe. No wonder so few geniuses have entered in the past few years. Ruthless. Those guys are really ruthless. They want us to never be able to make a comeback. White Teeth's face was gloomy as he gritted his teeth. Lu Ming was very smart and did not say a word. After a long while, White Teeth finally calmed down. You don't know anything. Even if I tell you, you won't be able to explain it clearly. How about this? You will inherit Master's inheritance first. After Baiya finished speaking, a picture scroll appeared in his hand. When he unrolled the picture scroll, a young man was drawn on it. He was extraordinarily handsome and extremely lifelike. Chapter 25:17 180 Life Fruits. Lu Ming was really speechless. His cultivation was too low. One had to know that with his body and the path of a ruler, he was confident that he could fight a demigod. Now, in the entire heaven realm, the evil god realm, and the primordial realm, how many people were his match? However, in Bai Ya's eyes, his cultivation level was too low. Don't worry. As long as you make a breakthrough in your cultivation, the seal in the scroll will be opened. Not only will it contain Master's cultivation technique, but it will also contain some information about Master's enemies. White Tooth said. Lu Ming nodded. Boy, you look very disappointed. You really don't know how lucky you are. Do you know how envious I am? Do you know how profound the word battle you obtained is? What kind of background does he have? That's the ancient word origin, do you understand? If it were in the prehistoric universe, I'm afraid countless terrifying existences would fight each other to the death. White Teeth cried out, his eyes filled with envy. Ancient word of origin? Lu Ming continued to be dumbfounded. He realized that he could not understand what Bai Ya was saying. Forget it. You won't understand even if I say so much. Remember, when you travel in the primeval universe in the future, you must try not to expose the secret of this battle character formula. Otherwise, it will bring you a fatal disaster. Also, the battle character that you comprehended before is only 1/1,000,000th, no 1/1000,000th of the original ancient character. Therefore, you should study this battle character more in the future. The benefits it will bring you are unimaginable. This battle character was discovered by Master by accident. He hasn't comprehended it much, so others don't know about it at all. Otherwise, those guys wouldn't have left behind an inheritance. White Teeth said a bunch of things. Lu Ming did not seem to understand. He could only remember everything in his heart. Also, this is for you. A storage ring appeared in Bai Ya's hand and he threw it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming received it and was overjoyed. A storage ring. There should be some treasures inside. Lu Ming's spiritual senses probed into it. The next moment, Lu Ming revealed a look of disappointment. The items in the storage ring were very simple. There was a sword and a huge wooden box. With a single thought, the combat sword appeared in Lu Ming's hands. This weapon. Lu Ming sensed it and then channeled the world energy into it. He immediately felt that this combat sword was like a bottomless pit. There was a strong devouring power that was frantically devouring the world energy in his body. Lu Ming was so frightened that he quickly cut off the connection between him and the combat sword. It was so terrifying. Lu Ming felt that if this combat sword were to burst out, its power would be many times stronger than the Heaven Dao soldier. This is a divine weapon, a weapon specially used by a martial god. With your current cultivation you can't control it at all. Its energy will be sucked dry. You can use it when you have a breakthrough in your cultivation. White Tooth said. A divine artifact. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He finally knew the name of the martial god's special weapon. This was because both sides had used weapons of this level in the battle between the ancestral dragon and the divine ancestor. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Such a weapon was a priceless treasure. Lu Ming kept it back into his storage ring and took out the wooden box. When he opened it, a strong medicinal fragrance immediately assailed his nose. In the wooden boxes were many crystal-clear fruits. The life essence was shockingly rich. Lu Ming was shocked. He felt that the medicinal fragrance emitted by the fruit was very similar to that of the life or death pill. However, it was much richer. This is a life fruit. Bai Ya explained, the fruit tree of life on the Netherworld Island will bear fruit once in a long period of time. However, for you outsiders, the myriad tribulation will only come once. Therefore, I've collected the fruits that bear at other times. There are a total of 180 fruits of life here. They're quite effective. You can take them. Thump. Boom. Lu Ming's heart was beating wildly. The fruits of life and 180 at that. Overjoyed. Lu Ming was truly overjoyed. Lu Ming ignored Bai Ya's not bad one. Not only was the medicinal effect pretty good, it was simply a supreme treasure. Lu Ming had seen the effects of the life or death pill before. The injuries that the Titan longhorn beetle and the 9 lives devilish silkworm could not recover from even after countless years had mostly been healed in a few days. The fruit of life was even more effective. The ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestors had fought so hard for the fruit of life. But now Lu Ming had obtained 180 of them at once. Lu Ming quickly closed the lid of the wooden box and kept it. Lu Ming was overjoyed and satisfied. He had gained a lot this time. Alright, I've explained and given you what I should. Now I'll send you out. White Tooth said. How do we get out? Lu Ming asked. There's a boat on one side of the Netherworld Island. You can take the boat and leave directly. I'll send a message to everyone on the island immediately. White Tooth said. Senior, wait. Lu Ming called out hurriedly. What's the matter? White Teeth asked. Senior, are there any three-eyed people on this island? Lu Ming asked. That's right. There's even a martial god among them. White Tooth said. Senior, can you kill that three-eyed martial god? Lu Ming said. If they could kill the divine ancestor of the non-human race, everything would be solved. No, no. Baiye shook his head. We've been sealed here and are under many restrictions. We can't help you kill. Those people are your enemies, right? It's better for you to deal with them yourself. If you can even deal with such weak enemies, how are you going to face stronger enemies in the future? How are you going to avenge Master? After saying that, Baiye's figure moved and disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming was simply speechless. That was the war god and he was weak. Lu Ming finally realized that his values and thoughts were completely different from Baiye's. There was no way to compare them. Not long after White Tooth left, he returned. Alright, I've already spread the news. I'll send you out now. With that, Baiye waved his hand and Lu Ming disappeared. The next moment, Lu Ming appeared on a mountain peak. Big brother Xianxia. The moment Lu Ming appeared, he saw a few people flying in one direction in the distance. Brother Lu Ming. Xianxia was overjoyed to see Lu Ming and flew over. Brother Lu Ming, let's go. Senior Ancestral Dragon has gathered us. Xianxia said. All right. Lu Ming nodded and followed Xianxia and the rest in a certain direction. Not long after, they met up not far from the Fruit of Life. Little Qing Dan Dan. Lu Ming saw Xianxia and Dandan. Then the water of the netherworld flowed forward, forming a large river. Was this the source of the Yellow Spring River? Everyone couldn't help but think so. The Yellow Spring River started from here and then returned to the Yellow Spring world after one round, forming a cycle. Therefore, as long as they followed the Yellow River, they would reach the battlefield outside the two-world city of the Taiching Heavenly Region one day. However, it would probably take a long time. The battlefield outside Two-World City was already relatively close to Netherworld Mountain. If they went around here, it would probably be very far. Everyone searched for a place to cultivate. Lu Ming, Xianxia, and the rest gathered together and chatted for a while before they went their separate ways. Lu Ming sat cross-legged on the deck. With a single thought, the picture scroll and the word battle appeared in his mind. Lu Ming's attention was focused on the word battle. Instantly, Lu Ming felt that there was an endless mysterious concept emerging. It was an extremely mysterious feeling that could only be sensed but not described. It was extremely mysterious and unfathomable. This was Lu Ming's feeling about the word battle. The battle character that Lu Ming had comprehended in the third stage previously originated from here, but it was just a superficial understanding. Lu Ming started to focus on his comprehension. The more he comprehended, the deeper he understood about combat. The Yellow Spring River was really long. They had been traveling like this for 2 years. At this moment, the non-human divine ancestor made his move. He forcefully tore open a space crack and charged into it with the sky-reaching battleship. That is, the Nine Nether Heavenly Domain. Many people saw it and recognized the world behind the spatial rift. It was obvious that the non-human divine ancestor and the others had entered the netherworld and planned to return from there. When the space closed, they continued to move forward. Once they reached the Nine Nether Heavenly Domain, they would not be far from the Taiching Heavenly Domain. Everyone stopped cultivating and started to wait. As expected, not long after, the ancestral dragon made his move. Under his attack, the space cracked open. From the crack in space, one could see that they were facing the battlefield outside Two-World City. Let's go. The ancestral dragon took the warship through the space crack and returned to the battlefield outside Two-World City. He's back. Many people sighed. This time he had been gone for more than 100 years in Netherworld Mountain. He had experienced a lot. Now that he was back, he felt like he was in a dream. Buzz. Buzz. Whoosh. Everyone flew out of the sky-reaching battleship and headed for Two-World City. Very quickly they were approaching Two-World City. Senior Ancestral Dragon and the others are back. Chapter 2519 Doubts about Cultivation. If you really have more, then give me another one. Dandan's eyes lit up and she started to look at Lu Ming's body. I knew you were greedy. Lu Ming pursed his lips. Hey, what do you mean by insatiable greed? The war with the alien race is imminent, and am doing this to improve my cultivation. I wasn't far from the demigod realm in ancient times. If you give me another fruit of life, I'll definitely be able to break through to the demigod realm. Dandan shouted. All right, I'll give you another one. Lu Ming waved his hand and another jade box flew to Dandan. Dandan took a look and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. She looked at Lu Ming with even more fervor in her eyes. Quickly get lost, there's nothing else. Lu Ming berated. In the end, Dandan left the place reluctantly. After Dandan left, Lu Ming found Xianxia and gave him 2 fruits of life. Xianxia's cultivation base was at the peak of the Heavenly Emperor realm. Although Xianxia wasn't injured, he could use the 2 fruits of life to unleash his potential and help him break through to demigod level. After that, Lu Ming called Bubbles over. Lu Xiangxiang, Ouyang Moli, Huang Ling, Long Chen and the others each gave one. Lu Xiangxiang, Ouyang Moli and the others' cultivation was not very high yet. After consuming a life fruit, they would definitely transform and have endless potential. In the future, their cultivation path would definitely be smooth and their improvement would be rapid. After that, Lu Ming returned to the Yuan continent and gave his parents and Qiuyu a fruit of life each. With Lu Ming's help, Lu Ming's parents had initially refined the fruit of life. Their cultivation had skyrocketed and they broke through all the barriers. In just a month they had broken through to the martial sage realm. The fruit of life was simply too heaven-defying. Even the martial god was greatly affected by it, so its medicinal effects could be seen. Using it on a martial emperor was simply a waste of God's gift. However, Lu Ming did not care. Moreover, it was impossible for martial emperors and martial saints to refine the fruit of life. If they ate it, their bodies would probably explode from the medicinal power. However, with the help of Lu Ming's path of domination, there was no problem. Lu Ming was only satisfied when Li Ping and Lu Yuntian broke through to the martial sage realm and their lifespans reached more than 100,000 years. Furthermore, the life fruit's medicinal effects were too heaven-defying. They were still far from refining it. In the days to come, their cultivation would definitely skyrocket. With the help of the life fruit, their comprehension of the laws was shockingly fast. Given time, breaking through to the martial supreme realm would be a piece of cake. As for Qiuyu, Lu Xiangxiang and the rest, their cultivation would also improve by leaps and bounds in the coming days. After one round, Lu Ming had consumed 15 fruits of life. After settling these matters, Lu Ming calmed down and thought about his next cultivation path. He had 2 options. One was to cultivate the 7 gods' mysterious technique and break through the physical body. He had already cultivated his physical body to the peak of the Heavenly Emperor realm. His next step would be to start breaking through to the martial god realm. However, the 7th level of the 7 gods' mysterious technique only had 4 words. 10,000 yuan in one. This made him scratch his head and have no clue. After thinking for a while, Lu Ming decided to put his physical body down and cultivate the path of domination. He was only at the peak emperor realm on the ruler's Tao. He still had a long way to go before he could break through to the heavenly emperor realm. Furthermore, Jing Ye's painting was a reference to the Tao of a sovereign, making it much easier to cultivate. Having made up his mind, Lu Ming began to focus on comprehending the path of the ruler. Now that he was a peak emperor, his next step would be to break through to the heavenly emperor realm. Lu Ming focused on cultivation. In the blink of an eye, a few months had passed. Lu Ming stopped cultivating and a look of doubt flashed in his eyes. When he was cultivating the path of a god, he felt like there was a powerful energy in the world that was preventing him from breaking through. That power seemed to be the power of this world, the power of the heavenly Tao. What's going on? Why is the power of this world trying to stop me? Lu Ming furrowed his brows tightly and could not understand. He started to feel a little anxious. He did not have much time left. Now that the non-human sacred ancestor had returned with 11 fruits of life, he and sacred ancestor Bloodheart would definitely consume them to recover their cultivation. Once they recovered, a shocking battle would break out between the 2 sides. The final battle was about to begin. Lu Ming had to make a breakthrough in his cultivation before that. He had to make a breakthrough in both his physical body and his Tao of domination. Otherwise, he wouldn't be a match for the non-human divine ancestor and the sacred ancestor Bloodheart. Let's go ask Senior Ancestral Dragon. Lu Ming planned to ask the Ancestral Dragon about it. Moreover, he still had a large number of fruits of life. He planned to give some of them away to increase the combat strength of the heaven realm as much as possible. At the thought of this, Lu Ming moved and tore open space. Not long after, he arrived at the lair of Zulong and flew towards the mountain where Zulong lived. When he arrived at the hall at the highest point, a figure flashed and stopped Lu Ming. It was one of the top 10 battle beasts, the 5 elements Qilin. Senior, I have something to do. I want to visit Senior Ancestral Dragon. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Senior Ancestral Dragon is recuperating in seclusion. I'm afraid it's not convenient for him to see you. The 5 elements Qilin said. Are you healing your injuries in seclusion? Lu Ming sighed. If he had known that this would happen, he would have asked Zulong when he first came back. It's fine. At this moment, a figure flashed. The figure of the Ancestral Dragon appeared. Senior, you... The 5-star Qilin was taken aback. This is just a projection of me. My main body is refining the fruit of life to heal my injuries. The Ancestral Dragon smiled. Lu Ming and the 5 elements Qilin heaved a long sigh of relief. Wuxia, you may leave. Zulong said. Yes. The 5 elements Qilin bowed and accepted the order. He then left. Lu Ming, why are you looking for me? Zulong smiled. Senior, I've come this time because I have something to give you. Lu Ming took out a storage ring and passed it to Zulong. Zulong took it curiously and scanned it with his spiritual sense. The next moment, his eyes opened wide and his mouth opened wide. Initially, with his temperament, there were not many things in the heaven realm that could shock him like this. However, there were such things in the storage ring that Lu Ming gave him. This was because Lu Ming had a total of 100 fruits of life in his storage ring. Lu Ming had obtained a total of 180 fruits of life. He had used 15 previously and had 165 left. Lu Ming kept 65 for himself and gave the rest to the Ancestor Dragon. Fruits of life, these are fruits of life, so many. The Ancestral Dragon muttered to himself and even his breathing became heavy. Lu Ming, how did you get so many life fruits? Zulong said in disbelief. I've had a fortuitous encounter on Yellow Springs Island. I've plundered all the life fruits that the island has borne over the years. I'll give these fruits of life to you, Senior. You can use them to heal your injuries. Lu Ming smiled and continued. No, this is too much. Keep some for yourself. Zulong said. This junior has already kept some. Lu Ming smiled. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.